Tonight I shall share with you 7 principles that, when properly understood and applied, will transform your entire world in a single day. Not in a year, not in a month, but in one day. For you see, transformation does not require time, it requires understanding. Let me share with you these 7 principles that revolutionized my understanding and instantaneously transformed my world. But before I share them, you must understand that these are not mere techniques or strategies. These are divine principles that reveal the very nature of reality itself. The first principle is this: your consciousness is the only reality. Not your thoughts, not your emotions, but your consciousness, your I am-ness. This principle, when truly understood, will shake the very foundation of your world. For you see, what you are conscious of being, you must become. Consider the words of Scripture. Be still and know that I am God. Notice it doesn't say become God or try to be God. It says know that I am God. This knowing, this consciousness is the first principle that will transform your world instantly when truly grasped. Many of you come to me asking how long it takes to change your life. But I tell you now, when you grasp this first principle, that your consciousness is the only reality, change is instantaneous. For you see, you don't become what you want, you become what you are conscious of being. The second principle is this: the world is yourself pushed out. Everything you see, everything you experience, every person you meet, all of it is yourself pushed out. This is not philosophy, this is law. When you truly understand this principle, you will never again blame circumstances or other people. Let me share with you how this second principle works. When you look at your world, you are not seeing something separate from yourself. You are seeing your consciousness made visible. Your financial situation, your relationships, your health, all of it is your consciousness pushed out. Consider this carefully. If you don't like what you see in your world, you don't try to change the world. You change your consciousness, and the world must change to reflect it. For the world has no choice but to reflect your consciousness. It is yourself pushed out. The third principle is this: the feeling is the secret. Not the words you speak, not the actions you take, but the feeling of your wish fulfilled. This principle, when properly understood, eliminates all struggle and effort from manifestation. Let me share with you what I mean by feeling. I am not speaking of emotion or sensation. I am speaking of the feeling of naturalness, the feeling of your wish fulfilled. When you have this feeling, you have the secret of creation itself. Consider how you feel about your own name. You don't hope it's your name. You don't affirm it's your name. You simply feel the naturalness of it being your name. This is the feeling I'm speaking of. When you can feel this same naturalness about your desire, you have mastered the third principle. The fourth principle is this: everyone is yourself pushed out. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, but literally. Every person you encounter is playing the role that your consciousness has assigned them. When you grasp this principle, relationships transform instantly. Let me share with you how this fourth principle works in practice. If someone is treating you unkindly, you don't try to change their behavior. You change your consciousness of them, and they must change to reflect your new consciousness. For they have no choice, they are yourself pushed out. Consider this carefully. When you say that person is against me, you are really saying, I am conscious of being someone against whom that person is set. Change your consciousness, and they must change their behavior. The fifth principle is this: there is no such thing as time in consciousness. The future is not ahead of you waiting to happen. It exists now in your consciousness. When you grasp this principle, all sense of waiting and delay disappears. Let me share with you why this principle is so transformative. Most people think their desire takes time to manifest. But I tell you now, Time is not a factor in manifestation. What matters is the intensity of your consciousness, not the duration of your waiting. Consider the words of Scripture before they call, I will answer. This is telling you that your desire already exists in consciousness. Your task is not to create it, but to accept it as already existing now. The sixth principle is this: revision is creation. What you call the past is simply memory, and memory can be revised. When you revise the past in imagination, you literally recreate your world. This principle, when properly understood, gives you complete freedom from the tyranny of past events. Let me share with you how this sixth principle works. If you don't like something that happened today, you don't try to forget it or overcome it. Instead, you revise it in your imagination. See it happening differently. Feel it happening differently. And that revision becomes the truth in consciousness. Consider this: your present circumstances are the result of your past thoughts and feelings. Change those past thoughts and feelings through revision, and you must change your present circumstances. The seventh and final principle is this: your imaginal acts become facts. What you imagine with feeling, what you accept as true in consciousness, must become facts in your world. This principle, when properly understood, eliminates all doubt and uncertainty about manifestation. Let me share with you how these 7 principles work together to transform your life in a single day. First, you must understand that these principles are not sequential. They are simultaneous. They are all operating in your life right now, whether you're aware of them or not. Consider how the first principle, consciousness is the only reality, works with the second principle. The world is yourself pushed out. When you really grasp these together, you realize that every single thing you're conscious of must express itself in your world. Let me give you a perfect example from Scripture. When Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, he was demonstrating these principles. He was conscious of being the way, first principle, and his world had to reflect that consciousness, second principle. Now let's see how the third principle, the feeling is the secret, works with the fourth principle. Everyone is yourself pushed out. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, everyone in your world must play their part to bring about that fulfillment. They have no choice, for they are yourself pushed out. Many of you may be thinking, but Neville, how can these principles transform my life in just one day? Let me tell you something. Transformation doesn't require time, it requires acceptance. When you truly accept these principles, transformation is instantaneous. Consider how the fifth principle, there is no time in consciousness, works with the sixth principle, revision is creation. Because there is no time in consciousness, you can revise any event, any circumstance, any relationship right now. And that revision must manifest in your world. Let me share with you how the seventh principle, imaginal acts become facts, ties all of these together. When you imagine with feeling, accepting your consciousness as the only reality, seeing the world as yourself pushed out, knowing there is no time, and revising what needs to be revised, your imaginal act must become a fact. But, and this is crucial, you must apply these principles from understanding, not from hope or wish. Most people try to use these principles while still believing in external causes. But I tell you now, there are no external causes. All causes lie in consciousness. Let me share with you what I call the 4 stages of applying these principles. Most people fail because they don't understand these stages, and therefore they abandon the principles before transformation can occur. The first stage is understanding. This is where you truly grasp that these principles are not techniques or methods, but laws of consciousness as exact as mathematics. When you understand them at this level, you stop questioning whether they will work and start questioning whether you're applying them correctly. The second stage is acceptance. This is where you move beyond intellectual understanding to genuine acceptance of these principles as the only reality. When you reach this stage, you no longer need proof or evidence. You know these principles are true just as you know your own name. The third stage is application. But then this is crucial. This is not the mechanical application that most people attempt. This is the natural, effortless application that comes from understanding and acceptance. When you reach this stage, you're no longer trying to make things happen. You're allowing them to happen according to law. The fourth stage is transformation. This is where your entire world begins to reflect your new understanding. Not gradually, not eventually, but instantly. For you see, when you truly understand, accept, and apply these principles, transformation must follow. It is law. Let me share with you how each of the 7 principles operates at each stage. Take the first principle, consciousness is the only reality. At the understanding stage, you grasp this intellectually. At the acceptance stage, you know it is truth. At the application stage, you live from it. At the transformation stage, your world reflects it. Consider how the second principle, the world is yourself pushed out, works through these stages. At understanding, you see the logic of it. At acceptance, you know it as fact. At application, you take full responsibility for your world. At transformation, your world reshapes itself to match your consciousness. Many of you may be wondering about the role of time in these stages. Let me tell you something, time is only involved in the understanding stage. Once you move to acceptance, time ceases to be a factor. For you see, acceptance, and application, and transformation are all aspects of the eternal now. Let me share with you how the third principle, the feeling is the secret, operates through these 4 stages. At the understanding stage, you grasp that feeling is more powerful than thought. At the acceptance stage, you know that feeling is the very substance of creation. At the application stage, you naturally occupy the feeling of your wish fulfilled. At the transformation stage, your world rearranges itself to match your feeling. Consider this carefully. Most people try to feel after they see evidence of their desire. But I tell you now, feeling must precede evidence. This is why the third principle is so transformative. It reverses the common approach to manifestation. Let me show you how the fourth principle, everyone is yourself pushed out, works through these stages. At understanding, you see how others reflect your consciousness. At acceptance, you know they must reflect your consciousness. At application, you naturally revise your consciousness of others. At transformation, they instantly begin to reflect your revised consciousness. Many of you may be thinking, but Neville, what if others have free will? Let me tell you something my teacher Abdullah taught me. There is only one consciousness individualizing all of humanity. Therefore, what you call others' free will is really your consciousness of them pushed out. Consider how the fifth principle, there is no time in consciousness, operates through these stages. At understanding, you grasp that time is psychological, not chronological. At acceptance, you know that now is the only reality. At application, you naturally live from the end. At transformation, your desired future becomes your present reality. Let me share with you what happened when I first grasped this principle. I saw that all my waiting for things to manifest was actually delaying their manifestation. For you see, as long as you're waiting for something, you're pushing it into a future that never arrives. Consider how the sixth principle, revision is creation, works through these stages. At understanding, you see that memory can be changed. At acceptance, you know that revising the past changes the present. At application, you naturally revise unwanted experiences. At transformation, your revised past creates a new present. Let me share with you how the seventh principle, imaginal acts become facts, operates through these stages. At understanding, you grasp that imagination creates reality. At acceptance, you know that what you imagine must externalize itself. At application, you naturally live in your imagination. At transformation, your imaginal acts become your physical facts. Consider this carefully. When these 7 principles are properly understood and applied together, they create what I call the divine circle of creation. The first principle establishes that consciousness is the only reality. The second principle shows that the world must reflect consciousness. The third principle reveals how to impress consciousness through feeling. The fourth principle demonstrates that everyone must play their part. The fifth principle eliminates time from the equation. The sixth principle allows for instant revision of unwanted states. And the seventh principle guarantees manifestation. Let me share with you the 3 most common mistakes people make when applying these principles. The first mistake is trying to use them as techniques rather than living them as truth. The second mistake is looking for results before fully accepting the principles. The third mistake is abandoning the principles when circumstances seem to contradict them. But I tell you now, when you truly understand these principles, you cannot make these mistakes. For you see, understanding brings acceptance. Acceptance brings application. And application brings transformation, all in a single day. Consider what happens when you truly grasp these principles. You stop trying to change things in the outer world because you know the outer world is yourself pushed out. You stop waiting for things to happen because you know there is no time in consciousness. You stop worrying about others' reactions because you know they are yourself pushed out. Let me share with you what I call the 3 orders of understanding these principles. The first order is intellectual understanding. You grasp them with your mind. The second order is emotional understanding. You feel their truth in your heart. The third order is spiritual understanding. You know them in your soul. Let me share with you what I call the 5 states of consciousness that these principles reveal. The first state is the state of confusion. This is where most people lie, not understanding that they are the creators of their reality. The second state is the state of awakening. This is where you begin to grasp these principles intellectually. You start to see the connection between your consciousness and your world. But be careful, many people get stuck in this state, endlessly studying but never moving to application. The third state is the state of testing. This is where you begin to apply these principles in your life. You start small, testing them in various situations. But remember, you're not really testing the principles, you're testing your understanding of them. For these principles are law, as exact as mathematics. The fourth state is the state of knowing. This is where you move beyond testing to absolute certainty. You no longer need proof because you know these principles are true, just as you know your own name is true. The fifth state is the state of being. This is where you don't just know the principles, you become them. You live from them naturally, effortlessly, continuously. This is the state from which instant transformation occurs. Consider how these states relate to the 7 principles. In the state of confusion, you don't even know these principles exist. In the state of awakening, you begin to understand them. In the state of testing, you start to apply them. In the state of knowing, you trust them completely. In the state of being, you are them. Let me share with you what happened when I moved through these states. In the state of confusion, I was like everyone else, believing in external causes, blaming circumstances, waiting for things to change. In the state of awakening, I began to see that my consciousness was creating my reality. But I wasn't yet ready to take full responsibility for it. In the state of testing, I began to apply these principles in specific situations. I would consciously revise events, imagine desired outcomes, assume the feeling of wishes fulfilled. And I saw results, but I was still separate from the principles. In the state of knowing, something profound happened. I no longer needed to test these principles because I knew them as law. Just as you don't test whether gravity will work each morning, I no longer tested whether these principles would work. I knew they must work because they are law. Let me share with you what the state of being looks like. In this state, you don't try to use the principles, you live them. You don't think about consciousness being the only reality, you live from that knowing. You don't try to feel your wish fulfilled, you naturally occupy that state. Consider what happens when you reach this state of being. The 7 principles are no longer separate from you, they are you. The first principle, consciousness is the only reality, becomes your natural state of awareness. The second principle, the world is yourself pushed out, becomes your constant understanding. The third principle, the feeling is the secret, becomes your natural way of creating. The fourth principle, everyone is yourself pushed out, becomes your fundamental relationship with others. The fifth principle, there is no time in consciousness, becomes your perpetual now. The sixth principle, revision is creation, becomes your automatic response to unwanted events. And the seventh principle, imaginal acts become facts, becomes your normal way of living. Let me share with you the 3 signs that indicate you've reached the state of being. First, you no longer try to make things happen. You know they must happen according to law. Second, you no longer react to circumstances, you simply revise them. Third, you no longer wait for manifestation, you live from the end. Consider this carefully. These 7 principles transform my life in one day, not because they are magical, but because they are law. When you truly understand them, truly live them, transformation must follow. It cannot be otherwise. Let me share with you the final truth about these 7 principles. When fully understood and lived from, they eliminate what most people call problems. For you see, problems can only exist when you believe in external causes. When you know that consciousness is the only reality, that the world is yourself pushed out, that feeling is the secret, that everyone is yourself pushed out, that there is no time, that revision is creation, and that imaginal acts become facts, what problem could possibly exist? Consider this carefully. Every problem you think you have is simply a misunderstanding of these principles. If you have a financial problem, you're forgetting that consciousness is the only reality. If you have a relationship problem, you're forgetting that everyone is yourself pushed out. If you have a health problem, you're forgetting that feeling is the secret. Let me share with you what happens when you live from these principles. You stop trying to solve problems and start revising states of consciousness. You stop trying to change others and start changing your consciousness of them. You stop trying to make things happen and start living from the end. These principles transformed my life in one day because I stopped trying to use them and started living them. I stopped seeing them as tools and started seeing them as laws. I stopped applying them occasionally and started living from them continuously. Remember this, transformation doesn't take time. It takes understanding. When you truly understand these 7 principles, truly live from them, truly become them, your entire world must transform. Not because you made it happen, but because it must happen according to law. That's the message I want to leave with you tonight. These principles will transform your life in one day when you truly understand them. Not because they are magical, but because they are law. Not because they are techniques, but because they are truth. And isn't that worth thinking about? Thank you all, and good night. Let me tell you a profound truth that will change your life forever. The power that you seek, the power to manifest even the impossible, lies dormant within you at this very moment. You are that power. You are the operant power. You are God in the most profound sense, temporarily occupying a garment of flesh. I say to you now, for just 1 minute, 1 single minute of your time, you can set in motion forces so magnificent that they will reshape your entire world. For consciousness is the only reality. And in that 1 minute of focused consciousness, you can plant a seed that must by divine law come to harvest. Tonight I share with you not theory, but law, immutable, unchangeable law. The law states that your consciousness, your feeling, your assumption is the only reality. What you feel as true, what you accept as real in that 1 minute of focused attention becomes the blueprint that the whole vast world must follow. Consider this. When you go to sleep tonight, enter into that 1 minute with complete surrender to your desire fulfilled. Feel it as real. Feel it as present. Feel it as now. For the feeling is the secret. And that 1 minute of reality of your desire is more powerful than 1,000 minutes of yearning or wanting. Let me share with you what I mean. Suppose you desire wealth beyond measure. In that 1 minute, you must feel the weight of that wealth, the satisfaction of that abundance, the joy of that prosperity as if it were already yours. You must enter into the state of the wish, fulfilled so completely that when you open your eyes, the outer world seems pale in comparison to what you have just experienced. The outer world, you see, is nothing more than a shadow, a reflection of past assumptions. But in that one sacred minute, you have the power to change every assumption, to rewrite every belief, to transform every aspect of your life. The whole vast world will reshape itself to match your new assumption, for this is law. I tell you, time is nothing to your subconscious mind. What you impress upon it in that 1 minute of focused feeling will work day and night to externalize itself in your world. This is why Scripture tells us, in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, we shall all be changed. That moment is the moment of assumption. You need not concern yourself with the how. The how is not your part in this divine drama. Your role is simply to occupy the state of consciousness of the wish fulfilled for that 1 minute with such intensity, such conviction, that you can say with absolute certainty, it is done. I remember a lady who came to me in dire circumstances. She had not a penny to her name, and creditors were at her door. I told her to take 1 minute, just 1 minute, before sleep and feel the joy, the relief, the absolute knowing of having more than enough. She did this faithfully, and within weeks, through channels she could never have imagined, abundance flowed into her life from every direction. You see, the outer world must conform to your inner assumptions. It has no choice in the matter. Just as the fruit must grow from the seed, your outer world must grow from the seed of your assumption. And that seed, planted in 1 minute of focused feeling, contains within it all that is necessary for its own fulfillment. Let me tell you something of profound importance. When you enter into that 1 minute of consciousness, you must do so with the knowledge that you are entering the most holy of holies. You are entering into the very source of creation itself. For your consciousness, your I am, is God Himself, and there is no other power to create or to destroy. Think of it this way. If you were to witness a miracle this very moment, what would you feel? How would your body respond? What thoughts would flow through your mind? That is exactly how you must feel in your 1 minute of focused consciousness. You must feel the naturalness, the reality, the absolute certainty of your desire fulfilled. The reason most people fail in their manifestations is that they treat their imaginal acts as something unreal, something separate from themselves. But I tell you now, your imaginal acts are more real than the world of Caesar, for they are the very substance from which all reality springs. In that 1 minute, you must abandon yourself completely to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. If you desire perfect health, feel the freedom and vitality in every cell of your body. If you desire a specific position, feel the satisfaction and responsibility of that position. If you desire a particular relationship, feel the love and connection as if it were already yours. The secret lies in the intensity of your feeling, the completeness of your absorption in the state desired. For feeling is the secret. And in that 1 minute of focused feeling, you are literally molding the substance of the universe according to your desire. Remember the words of Scripture, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. This transformation takes place in consciousness first, and that 1 minute of transformation in consciousness will work its magic until the outer world reflects perfectly what you have impressed upon your subconscious mind. Do not make the mistake of thinking that 1 minute is too short a time to manifest the impossible. Time is only a concept of the outer world. In the realm of consciousness, in the realm of the subconscious mind, 1 minute of complete absorption in the feeling of the wish fulfilled is equal to an eternity. Let me tell you what most of humanity has forgotten. in your imagination, which is your own wonderful human consciousness. You can in 1 minute live an entire lifetime. You can compress time to such a degree that 1,000 years become as 1 day in your consciousness. This is the mystery that the ancient mystics knew. When I tell you to take 1 minute, I am speaking of a minute pregnant with infinite possibility. For in that minute, when properly used, you transcend all limitations of time and space. You enter into the eternal now where all things are possible and all realities exist simultaneously. Consider this: every moment of your life you are manifesting. Every single moment you are creating through your assumptions. But most of these moments are spent unconsciously accepting the limitations of your current reality. What I am giving you now is the secret of conscious creation, deliberate manifestation through that one focused minute. Let me share with you an absolute principle. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is the secret of creation. Not the wish, not the want, not the desire, but the feeling of already having what you desire. In that 1 minute, you must generate this feeling with such intensity that it crowds out all other thoughts and feelings. When you close your eyes tonight, when you enter into that 1 minute of focused consciousness, you must feel with every fiber of your being that you are now the person you desire to be. You must feel the reality of it so intensely that when you open your eyes, the physical world seems like the dream. And what you have just experienced in imagination seems like the reality. I tell you, and I tell you with absolute certainty, that your three-dimensional world is nothing more than the outpicturing of your assumptions. The whole vast world is yourself pushed out. Therefore, in that 1 minute, you are literally rearranging the entire universe according to your assumption. What would you feel like if you were now the person you desire to be? What would you experience? How would your friends address you? What conversations would you have? These are not idle questions. They are the very substance of creation. For in that 1 minute, as you feel these things as real, you are creating them in the only place they can be created, in consciousness. Remember the words I share with you now. Your consciousness is God. Your I am is the creator of all that appears in your world. Therefore, when you enter into that 1 minute of focused feeling, you are entering into the very creative substance of the universe. You are entering into God himself. I have tested this law countless times, and I tell you now it never fails. A lady once came to me in tears, her child desperately ill. I told her to take 1 minute before sleep and feel the joy, the relief, the gratitude of seeing her child in perfect health. She did this faithfully, and within days her child made a recovery that the doctors could not explain. You see, the outer world has no choice but to conform to your inner assumptions. This is law. Just as an apple seed must produce an apple tree, your assumption must produce its physical equivalent. And in that 1 minute of focused feeling, you are planting the seed that must come to harvest. Let me tell you of the power that lies within that 1 minute. When you enter into it, you must do so with the knowledge that you are entering into the most sacred of activities. You are literally exercising your divine right as a created being. You are doing the work that you were created to do. Do not make the mistake of thinking that this is mere positive thinking or autosuggestion. What I am giving you is the very principle of creation itself. It is the same principle that created the stars and the planets, that maintains the order of the universe. It is the principle that Scripture refers to when it says, "Let there be light." In that 1 minute, you must let there be that which you desire to experience. You must feel it with such completion, such totality, that you can say with absolute conviction, it is finished. But when you can feel this, when you can experience this with your whole being, the thing is done. And all the forces of the universe move to bring about its physical manifestation. Think of it this way. Everything you now accept as real was once only imagined. Your current circumstances, your present relationships, your existing conditions, all were first imagined before they became fact. Therefore, in that 1 minute, you are engaging in the most natural and most powerful of all human activities, the act of conscious creation through imagination. I tell you now, with absolute authority, that if you understand and apply what I am sharing with you in this moment, nothing will be impossible for you. For the one who knows how to use that single minute of consciousness holds within their hands the key to all creation. Consider the words of Scripture. Before they call, I will answer. This is not some distant God responding to prayer. This is the law of consciousness in operation. When you enter that 1 minute with the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you have already created it. The answer precedes the call, because in consciousness where all creation takes place, you have already received. Let me share with you a profound truth that few understand. In your imagination, there is no limitation of time or space. You can traverse 1,000,000 years in a single second of consciousness. You can experience the end before the beginning. This is why that 1 minute properly used can reshape your entire existence. When you lie down tonight, when you enter into that sacred minute of communion with your own wonderful human imagination, you must do so with the knowledge that you are entering the realm of cause. The three-dimensional world you see around you is merely effect. It must, by eternal law, conform to what you establish in consciousness. I tell you now, do not waste that minute wondering how your desire will be fulfilled. The how is not your concern. Your only responsibility is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled with such intensity, such conviction that you can feel the naturalness of it. Feel the solidity of it. Feel the reality of it. Imagine if you desire perfect health. In that 1 minute, you must feel the vitality coursing through your veins. Feel the strength in your limbs. Feel the perfect functioning of every organ, every cell. Feel the joy of moving with complete freedom and vigor. Feel the naturalness of perfect health so completely that you cannot remember what it felt like to be otherwise. If it is wealth you desire, in that 1 minute you must feel the abundance surrounding you. Feel the security of substantial wealth. Feel the freedom it brings. Feel the joy of helping others. Feel the naturalness of having more than enough. Feel it so completely that you cannot remember what lack feels like. You see, your subconscious mind knows no difference between what you imagine with feeling and what you experience in the outer world. To your subconscious mind, they are one and the same. Therefore, what you impress upon it in that focused minute of consciousness must externalize itself in your world. Let me tell you of a principle that never fails. The intensity of your feeling determines the speed of its manifestation. When you enter that 1 minute of focused consciousness, you must abandon yourself completely to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Let no doubt enter. Let no contrary thought disturb your assumption. Remember this, your consciousness is the only reality. Everything you now consider real was first only imagined. The chair you sit on, the clothes you wear, the building you live in, all were first only imagined before they became fact. Therefore, what you imagine with feeling in that 1 minute is as real as anything you now consider real. I share with you now a secret of manifestation that few understand. When you enter that 1 minute of consciousness, you must do so from the end. Live in the end. Experience the completion, the fulfillment, the attainment of your desire. For when you experience the end in consciousness, all the steps necessary for its achievement must unfold naturally. Think of it this way. If you were to receive news right now that your desire had been fulfilled, what would you feel? How would your body respond? What thoughts would flow through your mind? That is exactly how you must feel in your 1 minute of focused consciousness. You must generate those exact feelings, those exact sensations. Do not make the mistake of thinking that this is merely daydreaming or fantasizing. What I am giving you is the very principle by which the universe operates. It is the principle of assumption, and it never fails. What you assume to be true, what you feel to be real in consciousness, must externalize itself in your world. Let me share with you a profound truth that will revolutionize your understanding of manifestation. In that 1 minute of focused consciousness, you are literally rearranging the entire universe. For consciousness is the only reality, and what you establish there must, by eternal law, manifest in your world. I tell you from my own experience, time after time, that this law is as exact as mathematics. Just as 2 + 2 must equal 4, what you feel as real in consciousness must externalize itself in your world. This is not theory, this is law, and it operates with mathematical precision. When you enter into that 1 minute tonight, you must do so with the knowledge that you are entering into the very substance of creation. Your consciousness, your I am, is God himself in operation. Therefore, whatever you accept as true in that state of consciousness has no choice but to externalize itself. Consider this: every moment of your life, you are manifesting. Every single thought accompanied by feeling is creating your future. But when you take that 1 minute and consciously direct it, when you deliberately assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are exercising your divine creative power at its highest level. Let me tell you of something remarkable about your imagination. In it, there is no such thing as impossibility. In that 1 minute of focused consciousness, you can be, do, or have anything you desire. The limitations of time, space, and circumstance do not exist in imagination. They are only beliefs we accept in our outer world. When you lie down tonight, when you enter into that sacred minute of communion with your own wonderful human imagination, you must feel with every fiber of your being that your desire is already fulfilled. Feel the joy of it. Feel the reality of it. Feel the naturalness of it. If you desire a particular position or achievement, in that 1 minute, you must feel the satisfaction of already having achieved it. Feel the respect it brings. Feel the responsibility it carries. Feel the natural pride in your accomplishment. Feel it so completely that you cannot remember what it felt like to desire it. You see, the secret lies in the feeling. Feeling is the secret. It is not enough to merely visualize or think about your desire. You must feel it as real. You must generate the feeling that would be yours if your desire were already a fact in the outer world. Let me tell you something about the nature of consciousness that few understand. Your consciousness is not confined to your physical body. It extends throughout the universe. Therefore, when you assume a state in consciousness, you are literally rearranging the entire universe to match your assumption. I share with you now a principle that has transformed countless lives. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is the secret of creation. Not the wishing, not the hoping, not the wanting, but the feeling of already having what you desire. This is the secret that all the great ones of history have known. Remember this: your outer world is nothing more than your inner world objectified. Everything you now see and experience was first only imagined. Therefore, what you feel as real in that 1 minute of focused consciousness must by law become real in your outer world. Think of the power that lies within that 1 minute. In it, you can transcend all limitations. In it, you can rewrite your entire life story. In it, you can plant a seed that must, by divine law, come to harvest. For consciousness is the only reality, and what you establish there is more real than anything in the outer world. Do not let anyone tell you that this is mere positive thinking or wishful dreaming. What I am giving you is the very principle by which the universe operates. It is the same principle that keeps the stars in their courses, that maintains the order of creation. It is the principle of conscious assumption. Let me tell you the final and most crucial truth about this 1 minute that can transform your entire existence. When you feel the reality of desire so intensely that your whole being vibrates with its truth, you have planted a seed in the fertile soil of infinite possibility that must come to harvest. Do you know why most people fail in their manifestations? They treat their imaginal acts as something unreal, something separate from life itself. But I tell you now, your imaginal acts in that 1 minute are more real than the world you see around you, for they are the very substance from which all reality springs. Think of this: every invention, every discovery, every achievement in human history began in someone's imagination. Everything that now exists in your world was once only imagined. Therefore, what you imagine with feeling in that 1 minute has a divine right to manifest, for this is the way of creation itself. I tell you with absolute certainty that if you will faithfully apply this law, if you will enter into that 1 minute each night feeling the reality of your desire fulfilled, your whole world must reshape itself to match your assumption. This is not hope, this is law. Remember these final words I share with you now. You are not some tiny being struggling against the world. You are the operant power. You are the creator of your reality. That 1 minute of focused consciousness properly used contains within it the power to reshape universes. Tonight, when you enter into that 1 minute, do so with the knowledge that you are entering into the most holy of holies. Feel the reality of your desire with such intensity that when you open your eyes, the physical world seems pale in comparison to what you have just experienced. For in that 1 minute, properly used, even the impossible must yield to your assumption. The whole vast world will conspire to make your assumption a reality, for this is the eternal law of consciousness. What you feel as real in consciousness must externalize itself in your world. I leave you with this final truth. The power is within you. The kingdom is within you. That 1 minute of focused consciousness, used with understanding and feeling, is more powerful than 1,000 years of toil. For in that minute, you are exercising your divine right as a creative being. Go forth now with this knowledge. Apply this law. Test it. Prove it in the laboratory of your own life. For I tell you, with absolute authority, that even impossible will manifest for you when you understand the power of that 1 minute of focused consciousness. Let this be your practice from this moment forward. Enter that 1 minute with complete faith, with absolute conviction, with the feeling of your desire fulfilled. For when you do this, you are doing the work you were created to do. You are consciously creating your reality through the power of your own wonderful human imagination. Remember, the world is yourself pushed out. Therefore, in that 1 minute, you are literally rearranging the entire universe according to your assumption. There is no power outside of you that can withstand what you establish in consciousness. For consciousness is the only reality, and you are that consciousness. And now, knowing this truth, understanding this law, go forth and create the life you desire. For you hold within you, in that 1 minute of focused consciousness, the power to manifest even the impossible. This is the truth. This is the law. This is your divine inheritance. The end is where we begin. The completion is where we start. Therefore, enter into that 1 minute from the end, living in the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. For when you do this, you are operating in accordance with the highest law of creation, and nothing can prevent your assumption from becoming your reality. So I say to you, finally, take this minute. Use it wisely. Fill it with the feeling of your wish fulfilled, and watch as the whole vast self reshapes itself to match what you have established in consciousness. For this is the way of creation. This is the law of assumption. And this is your power as a divine creative being.